Hello everyone, this is Sunny, and I'm coming to you with You'll Learn to Love Me, a Yandere Masky X-Reader by FluffyWubs. I'm going to be starting off with Chapter 10. I was already laying in bed, but I wasn't asleep yet, mainly because I kept texting with Tim once I assumed he was home. Even if I weren't texting with him, I probably wouldn't be able to fall asleep anyways because of all the so-called butterflies in my stomach. I was really looking forward to if he would be able to come or not. Just imagine all the things we could do together like a normal couple, something Nathan would never do with me. I frowned at the thought of his death. I really wish I could have done something. I could have prevented it somehow. Just as I was about to drown in a cloud of dark thoughts, a buzzing sensation in my hand made me snap out of my thoughts. I looked down at my phone. I gotta go now. I'll text you tomorrow whether I can come over or not. Sweet dreams, heart. I smile. I find it cute every time Tim would use a little heart in his text. I shifted my spot, positioning myself into a more comfortable position before replying. Alright, I'll be waiting. Sleep well, Tim. Heart. I smiled beneath my mask as I read the last message I got from her. I really wish I could continue texting her, but now that I arrived at the mansion, I couldn't. I stuffed my phone into my pocket before opening the doors to enter the mansion. To no surprise, I was greeted by an annoyed gray elf that bites me in the ass almost every day. His gaze was as hard as stone as he glared towards me with his piercing crimson eyes. Well, he asked. I furrowed my brows. What does he want now? Well, what? I asked. Darkling cuffs in irritation and rubs the bridge of his nose with his thumb and index finger. Where were you this time? He asks. Damn it, I really need to keep track of my time. Where do you think I was, smartass? I hiss bitterly. I need to be more careful with my sudden disappearances. Oh, let me guess. Were you on a mission? Dark spat back, crossing his arms over his chest. Bravo, you wasted your time on asking something you already knew the answer of. I sarcastically clapped my hands together, which only made Dark even more irritated. I'm always left in charge here when Slender's busy, and if he finds out I haven't been keeping you in line, he'll have my head. Dark scoffs with an actual hint of fear. I snort and flick his forehead. Get fucked, moron. I chuckle as I make my way past him, leaving him to be a mess of anger to himself. Toby waited until everyone was soundlessly asleep. Once he made sure the two other proxies were sleeping like a feather, he got off his bed, shuffling over to the nightstand, where Masky usually leaves his phone. Toby skillfully slinks out of the room silently. He spares a quick look over his shoulder just in case. They were still asleep. Smirking to himself, he slowly makes his way through the hall, heading towards the gamer elf's room. Once he was in front of the door, he gave one last look from side to side before knocking on the door. Ben was surely still awake since he's the one that usually stays up late playing video games. A soft shuffling sound could be heard from the other side of the door before the door actually started slowly creaking open. Ben looked noticeably tired and grumpy as usual. What? Ben's voice was hushed, but still sounded annoyed. Toby held Masky's phone in front of Ben's face. I need you to track a number. Toby twitched, almost dropping the phone from the sudden jerk of his arm. Ben narrowed his eyes. Isn't that Masky's phone? He questioned suspiciously. Toby simply nodded. Ben held his hands up. Look, I may be an asshole, but I'm not that big of an asshole to go through someone's private stuff, Ben responded respectfully. Toby scoffed and rolled his eyes. I'll get you that new game you want. Not even a second after finishing his sentence, Ben snatched the phone out of Toby's hands. Deal. After waiting an hour or two in Ben's room, he finally managed to pinpoint the exact location. Got it, Ben suddenly piped up, making Toby stand up from Ben's bed and let out a yawn. About time, Toby grumbled, slumping his way towards Ben's computer, where Ben was sitting in front of. His computer screen showed some kind of map with a red dot located at what Toby assumed was the number's location. They live in an apartment right here. Ben tapped his finger on the red dot on the screen. 7th floor, number 24, Ben stated before spinning around his chair to face Toby. Now, I want my game tomorrow at 2 p.m. sharp, got it? Ben huffed before disconnecting the phone from his computer and dropping it into Toby's hands. Yeah, whatever, thanks. Toby thanked Ben, and without another word, he left the room. Toby walked through the hallway again, going back to his room. What a great idea he had. He could torment Masky with this as long as he'd like. Toby entered his room and flicked on the light switch, causing the two proxies to stir in their sleep. Wake up, Gaywads, we got a new mission, Toby stated. Hoodie hissed to himself, pulling the covers over his head. It's 3 a.m., Hoodie retorted with a scoff. Tough shit, we gotta go to that chick's apartment again, Toby stated, only to see Masky lightly lift his head up. We already went there, Masky groggily replied, sitting straight up on his bed whilst rubbing the sleep out of his face. Toby grinned. Well, yeah, but we weren't done yet. The cops interrupted us last time, remember? Toby slyly stated, crossing his arms over his chest. Masky grunted in annoyance. We don't need to go there again, Toby. We've already done what we had to do, and I'm going back to sleep. Masky grumbled lowly, allowing himself to fall back down on his bed. Sheesh, why is it such a problem for you, Masky? It's not like you're hiding anything there, are you? Toby slyly asked, making Masky stiffen. That's the most stupid question I've been asked today, Masky mutters out, burying himself into his covers. Then why are you so defensive about going there? Toby asks. But we've already been there, and I'm not going to waste my damn time by going to the same place again, Masky hisses. Hoodie groans tiredly into his pillow. Could you two just shut up and go back to sleep? Hoodie muffles through his pillow. Toby snorts, rolling his eyes as he stops over to Hoodie's bed. He grabs the covers, and with one swift movement of his arm, he pulls it off of Hoodie. Why? Hoodie groans. Up, you two. We don't want Slender to be angry. Toby grins. For the first time, I actually fell asleep pretty early. And so far I haven't woken up once to go to the bathroom or to get a cup of water, which is surprising for me at least. I was in that sort of state where I was asleep but could still hear some sounds going on around me. The wind was furiously knocking on my window, which is actually pretty relaxing for me. It's a stormy night tonight, which only would make my sleeping better. That is, until I felt something being pressed against my mouth. My eyes snapped open only to meet with a familiar pair of brown orbs behind orange goggles. The teen who I had saw before grinned broadly beneath his mouth guard. He was on my bed, on top of me. How in the hell? Don't struggle, girlie. His body twitched as his head jerked to the side, making a sickening cracking sound. My heart started pounding, coming to realization of what was happening. They were back, and they were going to finish me off for good. There's no point in struggling. He was way stronger than me, and with his gloved hand pressed tightly against my mouth, he would surely muffle out my screams. The only thing I could do is cry. I'm terrified, and my tears surely show it. The teen teasingly shushes me. There, he cooed softly. I could hear his footsteps enter my room. It's probably the two other burglars, including that female mask guy. There's literally nothing else to take besides kitchen utensils and shit like that. Why did Slender send us here to again, Toby? I could recognize the voice that belonged to that one guy, Hoodie. He sounded pretty annoyed. I assumed the kid that was on me was the one named Toby. Toby chuckled as he slid one of his hatchets from his belt. I'm supposed to finish off the girl, Toby chirps in an overly joyful manner before pressing the blade against my neck. I shivered against the cold metal and the sharp sensation on my neck. This is it. This is how I'm going to die. Toby cast a glance over his shoulder, seemingly looking towards the white-masked male. Hey, Masky? Toby called out for the male, who was definitely named Masky. Masky cocked his head as if questioning what the teen wanted. You don't mind if I chop her head off, do you? Toby questioned in an almost teasing tone, pressing the blade a bit further into my neck. His free hand was clamped over my mouth, and so I had no saying in this. I shook and trembled beneath the teen, afraid to lose my dear life. Masky scoffed, crossing his arms over his chest. You're just wasting your time. We could have been already back home if it weren't for you debating whether to kill the girl or not, Masky replied coldly. Toby hummed and turned to look back at me. I'm not going to kill you just yet. Toby twitched more than usual, grinning even more than before. I want to make Masky suffer. Toby chuckles. Masky furrows his brows beneath his mask, which is not visible to anyone. I, for one, felt relieved that he wasn't going to kill me, yet he still didn't let go of me and kept the hatchet against my throat. I mean, what kind of person would be killing off my best pal's girlfriend? Toby chuckles. Masky visibly stiffens up, curling his hands into fists as if containing himself. Hoodie turns to look at Masky before looking back to Toby. What kind of shit are you on now? Hoodie asks nonchalantly, as if all this had happened before. Toby released his grip on his hatchet for just a moment to fish something out of his pocket. A phone? Toby tossed the phone over to Hoodie, and Masky immediately rushed over to Hoodie, trying to snatch the phone, only to have Hoodie hold it high above his head. Give me that, Masky hissed. Unfortunately, Hoodie was just a few inches taller than him, so Masky wasn't able to retrieve the phone. Why are you so defensive about it? What are you hiding? Hoodie's voice sounded more suspicious and angry than before. Masky, however, sounded a bit nervous, yet stern. Give it back, Masky stated bitterly, only to receive a harsh shove on the chest from Hoodie, causing him to stumble back. That's gotta be good, Toby chuckled to himself. I was so confused and afraid. What is going on? Hoodie looked like he was skimming through Masky's phone as Masky tried to get it back from Hoodie. Once he actually manages to snatch it from Hoodie's hand, the damage was already done. So you've been rebelling against Slender's rules, Hoodie mumbled softly, almost inaudible for me to hear. Masky stuffs his phone into the safety of his pocket. I'm not, Masky retorts sharply. Toby snorts before moving his gaze over to my phone on my nightstand. He turns back to look at me. I'm slowly going to let you go, and you're going to do as I say, got it? He states. I nod without hesitation. Good. Toby grins before removing his gloved hand from my mouth. Toby gets off of me and stands right next to me, watching my every movement. My breathing was ragged and going faster by the moment in panic, and Toby didn't seem to care, though. I went to grab your phone and message your boyfriend. Toby laughs shortly. The two other arguing males suddenly go quiet, especially Masky. I shift myself up in the bed very slowly so they realize I'm not any threat, and with a shaking hand, I reach over to my phone. Before I can, I feel a hand wrap around my wrist, preventing me from grabbing my phone. I was shaken up by the sudden contact with Masky, who was holding me back from grabbing my device. No, you won't. Masky's voice was threatening and dark, almost a voice I recognized from somewhere. Fearfully, I slowly retract my hand, making Masky loosen his grip around my wrist. What am I supposed to do? Listen to one killer or the other? Hell, I'm going to die either way. Man, Masky, I didn't know you were the type of person to lie to your own girlfriend. Toby emphasizes on the word girlfriend. Am I suddenly this psychopath's girlfriend now? She's not my... Masky was about to say something until Toby leaned forward over the bed, snatching my phone off the nightstand himself. Shoot, I really need to put some kind of password on my phone. I have no idea what Toby could be doing on my phone, but when he suddenly looks up from it, the phone from Masky's pocket vibrates. Ah, see? So this is the girl you've been talking to, Toby exclaims. Throwing the phone onto my lap, I pick up my phone so completely oblivious to whatever is going on. My screen showed my text conversation with Tim. Toby had apparently sent a message just a couple seconds ago to him, but then... No, of course not. This guy just probably stole Tim's phone, right? Right? Just look at the look on her face. Toby let out a laugh. This has to be a joke, right? My hands are shaking, my eyes were tearing up once more, and I look up from my screen, almost afraid to look at Masky. I swallow nervously before asking. Tim? My voice cracked slightly as Masky vigorously shook his head. I'm not. Masky was cut off short by Hoodie. Someone's coming, we gotta go. Hoodie's voice was hushed, and Toby sneered impatiently and turned to me. You keep your mouth shut. If you tell anyone, I'll kill you. Do I make myself clear? Toby threatens me like he did before, and I clench my covers and nod my head. Good, let's go. Make sure Masky leaves first. Toby glares at Masky, who was already making his way out of my room. Hoodie left after Masky, was then followed by Toby, and then just with that, I was alone again. I let out a breath I was holding and wiped my tears. Did that really just happen? I shakily pick up my phone and look at the screen. That was not Tim. That was not Tim. I had to repeat that in my head over and over to convince myself that couldn't possibly be him. Ryan, I hear a female voice echo through my apartment. Why'd you leave your door wide open? The voice asks. The sound of a door being shut and locked could be heard afterwards. Someone enters my room, only for me to realize that it was Emma entering. You weren't answering my calls or responding to my texts, so She cut off herself. Once she sees my shaken up form and teary eyes. Ryan, what happened? Are you alright? Emma quickly hurries over to me, kneeling beside my bed, and I was still shaking, clutching my bed covers into my fists as tight as possible. I stammer. What do I say? I'm not supposed to tell the truth. He'll kill me. They'll kill me. I let out a shaky breath and turned to look at her. I'm sorry. I apologize over my teary eyes. I just woke up from a nightmare, that's all. That is the end of that chapter. If you guys like that, let me know what you guys think, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.